Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is if you listen to this. I don't know, this was something strange that happened to me. I think it was sometime last year. I thought it was kind of odd, um, but I wanted to talk about my experience that I had and an experience of an old friend that I had. Um, the timing was strange too that it happened. Was I was doing some research on the Norse god Odin. Um, for anyone who doesn't keep up with the channel or anyone who doesn't watch any of my videos, I have a card game that I'm making. It's kind of just honestly, it's just a hobby that I do. It's like a kind of like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh, any other card game is the best way to compare it to. Um, but yeah, so in the card game, I was making pretty much um, character cards, like creature cards around, consisting of Odin and his two birds and Fenrir the wolf, um, different characters of Nordic mythology. And I was specifically working on Odin was the card that I was working on. Um, and so I was doing research online because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really that well versed in Norse mythology. I mean, I could talk to you about Greek mythology all day, or Celtic mythology, or Native American legends and myths, but I don't know a thing or two about Nordic mythology, not that much. Um, so I was studying Odin, and Odin basically shows himself as an old man with a staff, like a traveler in the human realm on Earth. Um, and what he does is he travels the Earth, basically testing people. Um, basically, he's an old man with a beard and long hair, and he goes around testing people. And he appears as like a hobo and stuff. And what he does is he just keeps tabs on the world and kind of figures out who's good and who's bad and how good or evil the world is. Um, so as I was studying this, I had to make a couple errands. Um, first, let me get back to this. Basically, the card that I was designing it's a transforming card, kind of like evolution cards, the monster transforms. And on one side, it was an old man traveling, like a mysterious traveling old man. And on the other side, it's basically turns into Odin, the god, and like full blown fury. Um, but I had a bill that I had to pay that day, and I was living in Danville at the time, and I had to go pay this bill in Harrisburg. So, not really thinking much of anything, I ate my lunch, finished drawing up the card and coloring it. Was like, oh, it's my day off, I'm gonna go pay this bill. So I take the bill and I just drive to Harrisburg. Um, on the way back from Harrisburg, I had seen this minivan that was broken down on the side of the road. So I pulled over behind it, and I get out and walk up to the window and knock on the window, and there's an old man sitting in there with long hair and a beard. And he gets out of the van, and we go and walk to the back of the van, and I'm just kind of asking him, what's wrong with the van? Is it is there anything I could do to fix it? And he's like, as he gets out of the van, before he walks to the back of the van with me, he's got this big wooden staff with him, like a hiking staff. I mean, this dude straight up looks like a wizard in modern clothes, wearing flip flops and shorts and a shirt. But Basically, if you took a wizard from medieval times and threw him into the modern era, that's how he'd blend in. And he's like, well, the only thing you can really do for me, he said, is if you don't care to let me use your phone. So I just let him use the phone, and um, you know, was like he was real grateful. He called a random number and just spoke probably like 2 or 3 lines. I wasn't listening to him. I walked back to my car to kind of give him privacy. Um, and he just said 2 or 3 lines and gave back the phone. Was like, "Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it and stuff." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Anytime I see anyone that's broke down on the side of the road, I usually try to stop and see if I could do anything for them." And so I got in the car and started driving. Um, and I don't know, it just clicked. I was like, man, I just was sitting here studying on Odin and driving around, or studying on Odin and drawing a card. And I don't know, it was just like one of those moments like where it happened on the same day, not even an hour or two later. It was just like, was that Odin? Testing me to see if, testing me and testing the world to kind of see if, hey, are you guys being good people down here? Are you caring for your fellow man? You know, um, I don't know, but it could be true. It could not. I mean, to me, it's a true story. It could have been Odin. It could not have been Odin. I think if there was an Odin, it was definitely that situation. Could have been coincidence, but that was something weird that I went through, and thought it was kind of neat. But there was another story that this was from my old friend back in high school. His name was Cody, and he used to have like this uh, Thor, the hammer of Thor necklace that he used to wear. He worshipped the old gods, practiced magic and stuff. Was pretty much a male witch or wizard. Whatever term you prefer, whatever term he prefers, really. But he was telling me a story that he had an experience with Odin when he was younger, when he was first learning how to drive. He was lost and smoking his last Marlboro cigarette, is what he told me, trying to find cigarettes out in the middle of nowhere. But he was driving around all alone in the middle of the night and just completely lost. And he started getting worried because it had been like 2 hours. He hadn't had gas. He was running low on gas. He didn't want to get stranded in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, completely lost. So he started praying to the old gods. Started praying to Odin. Um, but I don't know. It was just like he said basically that as soon as he started praying, he pulled over, started praying, lit up his last cigarette, and was just waiting there. And this red truck pulled up and drove up beside him and kind of stopped at a stop sign. And it was an old man with long hair and a beard. And the dude just turned and started driving down this road. And he's like, I don't know. He just had this overwhelming feeling of I should just follow this guy. So he started driving and following the guy, and it was just him and this old man with a beard, looked like a modern day wizard, driving down the road. And next thing he knows, basically the truck had led him back into town. Led him back into, I think we were living, both of us, in Lancaster at the time. But the truck had led him back into Lancaster. And then he said, this is his words, his story, not mine. He said that the truck went over like a hill, and he lost sight of it for just a couple seconds. And when he got over the hill also, the truck was gone, just vanished into thin air. But that's a little story for you of my experience and my buddy Cody's experience. You know, um, we both took it as we both met Odin, and believe it or don't, that's up to you. You know, I think it's far less crazy than some of the stories I've heard. But y'all have a good day.